model inspection and modification module. So what this module does is give you detailed information about your model group and also give some suggestions on what might be a problem or what might be considered to be not a best practice. And also it allows you to act on some of these suggestions. So the ideal case would be that once you import your model into the scene, if you're going to import multiple models or your model has different parts, just combine them under one big object. Just right click on this hierarchy panel, create an empty object and carry your object under it, object or objects under that. That way, model inspection module will work perfectly. So you select your model and you have some objects, some parts under that, and model inspection module gives you information. Like the first one, the coordinates of this object is not 0, 0, 0, which means it's not positioned at the world center. I just slightly adjusted this to fire this warning up, but you will see this happen with the models coming from different 3D design software. Every 3D design software has its own different way of approaching things, and especially when it comes to exporting FBX, which is the format you're going to use to import your model into Unity. Every kind of software behaves differently. If you're working in Blender, there are a lot of different things to do, different things to consider, and if, for example, if you're working in Cinema 4D, probably your model is going to be way too big for Unity, so you will have to scale it down. So this is how the model inspection module works. So you click set coordinates to 0, 0, 0, and it goes just and does that. After that, it says this model group has 140 childs. So what does this mean? It doesn't have to be necessarily a bad thing, but if it's way too much, like one object containing more than 100 objects, it may be considered to be a little bit too cluttered, which is stated in here. So you just go ahead and regroup your models under different objects to make it more organized. And it also has an indicator of the total objects under your main object. And after that, it has a module that allows you to split submeshes into different game objects. Allow me to elaborate. So how does this happen and what does this mean? At times, with different software, your meshes might come in submeshes, which means once a mesh has different materials on its different parts, on its different faces, it comes as a submesh. So take an example of this cube. This is just a cube. This is normal, like everyday, every kind of 3D design software has this. This is just a normal cube, but it has different materials attached on its different sides, like material 1, material, and no name. So these materials make this a submesh, but you cannot touch the different faces of this object. Like you cannot change the position of just one face. So if you want to do that for some reason, you can use this module here to split submeshes into different game objects. So once you click your group object, it also states how many submeshes there are, how many parent meshes with submeshes there are in your project, and then you can just split them into different game objects to be able to control them differently. This allows you to change positions, change rotations, and stuff like that for your object. For example, I have the red material parts now moving differently, and the green material parts moving separately. So this allows me to do exactly what I've said before. This might come in handy, or you might not need this at all. This is your decision, and your project might need it or might not need it, but it will increase your child object size, obviously, for different game objects, but still it should just work fine after this. Also, original objects are still kept but hidden, so in case of any trouble or any problem, any differentiation with your models, you can just go ahead and turn them back on. So model inspection and modification module has a lot of different useful info for your object, and it allows you to act on different settings. Also, not for this model, but it states how many triangles your object has. Well, depending on the program you're working on, depending on the software, 3D design software you're working on, your model might have way too many triangles for one scene, for to be rendered in one scene, and it might cause a lot of FPS drops or stuttering of your build. So if that's the case, model inspection module will warn you. It will warn you, and it will give you suggestions on how you can improve your triangle count. So model inspection and modification module works like this. Just go ahead and group your model under one object and select that object to see how it goes and to do what is necessary to make it more optimized.